Hey, my name is Warming, and this is Ghost, the Modern Day, and the Fourth Dimension, Ghosts Explained. Alright, so when you think of Ghosts or the Scooby Crew, you be thinking about the sheet ghosts, Velma can't find her glasses, and when you think of ghosts, you think about the movies, like, oh, that girl's coming out the well in 7 days, or, the nuns just being scary. So, those things, but when we talk about ghosts today, and just in general, like with what they are, we're talking about like, what they're doing right now, definitely, just with the idea of just like, no one, like, because I don't know anything, and you're here listening to me, and it's like, I'm just sharing some thoughts I've had, and I'm hopefully, that you've been having as well. We can talk about, share those ideas. So yeah, disclaimer. Because everyone has different beliefs. 52% of Americans believe in some form of paranormal activity, and 31% of the world is Christian, which automatically they believe in ghosts. So in general, ghosts are just widely accepted. When you think of a lot of cultures, a lot of older cultures, like say Native American, I'll just name that one. In terms of thinking about ghosts in a way of like a reverence way, in terms of many belief systems throughout the world, and cultures just through generations have just believed in ghosts. So we're here to talk about it scientifically and just in general, because what the fuck? Why aren't we? I'm standing today, by the way, and you can actually see me just standing over here. I look kind of small over there. A lot of girls have a problem with this, but whatever. Alright, so ghosts, what are they? Well, essentially, kids see ghosts sometimes. Well, a lot of people say the reason maybe kids see ghosts more than adults may see ghosts is due to the fact that kids do not have full data sets on the world, so they don't know the laws in which the world works by. So doing so, they haven't been able to apply certain things to understand how things work. So kids see ghosts, as in kids don't understand fully, because ghosts, truly paranormal activity, unexplained events, are just not understanding. And if you had a full understanding of it, you would then know about it. Instruments used to measure frequencies as well as electromagnetic activity, ghost hunting tools, okay? It's like these tools are brought into ghost hunting situations, which I know nothing about. But when you look this up on chat, for instance, ChatGPT before, and you ask them, are there anomalies when ghost hunters investigate ghost places? And the answer is yes. There's things that you can't explain with the instrument tooling that just happen. So yes, there are anomalies in that regard to just in terms of running a scientific experiment, because when you ask, just in general, okay, the internet or chat, okay, is there scientific evidence for ghosts? The answer is no. There's no scientific evidence for ghosts. And in terms of scientific evidence, what is that? Scientific evidence is essentially when you run an experiment and you have evidence from the scientific method, which is testing a hypothesis. So if you ever did like the what is it called, like the fair or whatever, science fair, and made that whole thing with that, that's the process which science goes through, and it's very formal. But the reason is because, for people to believe in things, to respect that, you have to test again and again to make sure it's like for sure, so things don't break. Okay, so just in terms of the ghosts, yeah, okay, so scientifically ghosts have been proven, but like, are ghosts real? Scientifically, it's not unproven. Okay, so you have anomalies, you have weird things happen with instruments. In terms of possession, essentially, in terms of possession, a lot of people think about like the, some shit like that, and it's just not like that, in my opinion. When you talk about possession, truly, it actually ends up becoming manifesting in forms of suicide, self harm, um, self destruction, like being hard to be around, like someone, self-destruct, or like people don't want to be around them type, in terms of uh that possession, right? Is someone with depression possessed? No. All right, so in terms of possession specifically, when you are depressed, though, you are in a state of mental, like, um up in the airness, so you are more susceptible to things maybe getting at you. You know what I'm saying? In terms of those things, though, they really only have power if you give them power. Are they specifically there? No. So you exist in the third dimension. So essentially, this is three dimensions. It's you know, X, Y, and Z. So, in terms of a ghost, ghosts move, as you would know, through walls and shit. So they move in the fourth dimension. So they move, through time as well. So if you want to imagine how a ghost might see the world, it'd probably be something similar to what a tesseract looks like, which I will, try to show you somehow. I don't know, I'll put it on screen. Bam, tesseract. Okay. I'm gonna flash some pictures of the movie Interstellar just real quick. So he's flying around through time. Yeah, the story of Interstellar, essentially this dad goes on this thing going into space to save the world, and basically, he's going to, his daughter had a ghost in her childhood, like messing with her and shit, but then, his dad goes through a black hole and essentially is able to like mess with strings of her life, like chords, and just like flick them and like flick books off shelves throughout her childhood, But eventually, he actually told her how to save the world through that. In terms of that, in what we're talking about, essentially, he was in the fourth dimension at that point, and he was kind of like trying really hard to contact her, but then it manifested through like small events all throughout time, because that's how it is with like um ghosts in general. Ghosts, in terms of people, most often when they think about ghosts is because of they're scared of a certain place. That's when you start thinking about ghosts, right? You see the hallway and you're like, liminal space, and you're like, shit, running, and it's just not really like that. You shouldn't be afraid of the dark as an adult just because you are an apex predator. If you are in the woods right now, you are the top of the food chain in that environment. So, in terms of what you would do, of course you wouldn't just stand there, right? If you just stood there all day, you obviously wouldn't be, you know, the apex of that environment. Ghosts are fourth dimensional and you're three dimensional. So, you can understand, one dimensions, which is just a single point, and you can write stuff on two dimensions, because you're three dimensional, right? So you just understand that. But when we start talking about fourth dimension, you really can't understand that. But you should still have respect, for that. In terms of ghosts in your life, in my life, when I was a child, we have this gate. We had a GSP and Dobermans, and the gate had a very large spring. It was homemade, so it was extra powerful. But essentially, the gate would open, and the spring would pull it shut. And it was on the stairs. And when I was younger, I was just walking towards it, and it just my bad. Sorry about that. and it just started swinging open, and it was just, that's impossible, and I started crying just emotionally from that, because it's just like, don't understand, you know. To my mom, showed her, Gabe was fine, um, and that was just one event. I truly can't explain that. Was that a ghost? I'm not really sure, and because I'm not sure, I like to talk about it as a ghost story, but disclaimer, I don't know, but it just, no wind, it's just, but in terms of ghosts physically moving things, though, be aware, in terms of your mental and your body, it's like ghosts and entities in general, spirits, just to that be, you know, in terms of messing with you, have no power over you unless you give it to them. In terms of giving it to them, that could range from anything that like hurts you. You know what I'm saying? Like bad behavior. You can catch yourself just by not doing. It's like when you're mean to someone, or you're laying in bed all day too. Or you're not fulfilling your life and doing things to help and share value with people around you. Um, then because like, well, then that's just really sad. And other sad ghosty entity things, I'm sure they love that. Um, in terms of talking with them and like being friends with them, do Ouija boards work? If you wanted to talk to another world, I'm sure that would take a lot of energy. Is that possible through just pure like will? You know, it could be possible. Is magic real? Yes, it is. In terms of that bothering you, I wouldn't want that to bother you, just because it's like, when you're in your dark room alone at night, and maybe your closet's just a little bit open, and you're not sure if someone's just watching you. Someone is watching you, just in general, because you are, and you're conscious. Well, yeah, and God's watching. I'm just saying, in that sense of, it's just like, you know, we're here with you. You know what I'm saying? When you're there, like, destroying your, we're there. And I don't, not in like a weird way, but it's just the human experience, my brother. And yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, in terms of the closet thing, yeah, don't let that bother you. Like when you're in your bed, just realize you are the ape. You are the strongest thing in the vicinity of your father, and then everyone else's dad or mom if they like lift weights, or sisters. Whoever's the strongest on the block or has a gun, because but that doesn't really affect ghosts. I do believe though that, you know, against bad entities, having a strong faith in and doing as the word of God says, to, respect thy neighbor, to not kill and steal. I'm just saying, to do those things would probably lead to a life of less availability to possession. My mom had a story one time, which I'll leave this video on, but essentially, I really don't want to mess the story up, but it was like her mom had died, and then her dad was really sad, and like he just completely changed to her, and like she would visit him in his room, but she said like the corner of the room, she felt like someone was watching them. It was just like super like dark, like, and he was just different, like, after she died, and she felt like it was a possession, and of the sense of, he was really sad, and he was opened up to stuff from that, but he was able to come out of that, and he got better. And yeah, in terms of, if you feel, stressed out, someone's watching you, don't feel that thing got any stuff over you. What you should do is just like clear your mind, realize that you have all the power and be a good person. And with that, yo, that's Ghost Explained. We're talking about magic in the next one. Magic in the modern day explained. Boom. See you guys.